for yourselves. Absolutely. What about beauty? What about storytelling? What about capturing one moment in time, compressing it into a little bit of paper so that other people can have that moment later? Yes, ma'am. Exploration, for sure. Anybody else? Images, yes. That's very, very important in poetry. Yes, sir. Wisdom, yes. Passing it along, for sure. Anybody else? Okay. So I'm going to read a very, very short piece of a poem from June Jordan. She wrote this poem for, I'm going to read this directly from her website. It is a commemoration of the 40,000 women and children who, on August 9th, 1956, presented themselves in bodily protest against the Dompas in the capital of apartheid. And this poem, she presented the entire poem at the United Nations on August 9th, 1978. So in this poem, June Jordan is using poetry to protest something that she felt was unjust, right? So that's another thing you can use poetry for, is protest. And I'm just going to read you the last part, which is, I think, the most beautiful. And who will join the standing up? And the ones who stood without sweet company will sing and sing back into the mountains, and if necessary, even under the sea. We are the ones we have been waiting for. So poetry is for you to make the world. And with that, I'm going to give the program over to Maddie and Heather.
Hey y'all, so I'm Maddie Nitmo, I'm our Outreach and Instruction Librarian, and I'm here to introduce our very own writer-in-residence, JJ Amaworo Wilson. He is our writer-in-residence here at Western New Mexico University and a faculty member on Stone Coast's MFA in Creative Writing. His first novel, Damnificados, won 4 major awards and was an Oprah top pick. His most recent novel is Nazare, the author or co-author of 20 books, and JJ has lived in 11 countries and visited over 70. So let's give it up for JJ.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Can I stand here, or am I going to be? Oh, I can. Excellent. How are you all? Everyone doing all right? I just want to say a big thank you, firstly, to Miller Library for hosting, as always. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, you and your team. Thank you to Professor Frankland for organizing this event and for inviting me. And thank you all for being here. Okay, poetry. A poem cannot stop a bullet. A poem cannot defuse a bomb. A poem cannot cure cancer. A poem cannot reverse climate change. A poem cannot make you richer. A poem cannot make you taller or shorter or prettier. A poem cannot even lower the price of eggs. So what use is poetry? I'm going to give you a very personal take on that question. I'm going to try and answer it briefly in just a few minutes. I've been a lover of poetry ever since I was very, very young, since my journey in literacy began. And the first thing, and Samantha mentioned it earlier, is that I think poetry stops time. The poet pauses to linger on something worth looking at closely in the world. The novelist John Updike, he said, "To describe is to celebrate." And for me, poetry is a celebration of something in the world. Second reason I love poetry. is the beauty of language that is captured in poetry through rhythm, through rhyme, metaphor, imagery. Poems have always seemed to me to be a little bit like music in that they are there to be felt rather than merely understood. A poem is not a riddle. It's not a test of your intellect, whatever your teachers make it out to be. It's not a test of your intellect. It's to be felt. The third, if I can use a metaphor, a poem to me is like a firework in the sky. It's something that has color and life and energy. And then a third reason I love poetry is that you can often use very simple words to describe complex emotions and complex ideas. That's what poetry does. You've all heard of Muhammad Ali, right? Yes? The boxer. He was also a poet. Well, exactly 50 years ago in 1975, Muhammad Ali was giving a talk to the students at Harvard University, and right at the end, everyone applauded him, and one of the students shouted out, "Give us a poem," because Muhammad Ali was a poet too. He came up with these rhymes, and Muhammad Ali did, and he came up with probably the shortest poem in the English language, and his poem was just 2 words, and this was his poem: "Me, we." Simple poem, right? About the simplest words you can imagine. 2 words, 4 letters, but it rhymes, okay? What a genius the guy was. But it's quite a complex idea. He's going from the individual, me, to the collective, we. And that's what poetry can do with just simple words. The final thing I want to say, the final reason I love poetry, is that poetry for me has always been a consolation for life's woes. Which of us in this room has never suffered from loss or heartbreak? The philosopher Kierkegaard, he said, if you've never despaired, you've never lived. Well, poetry teaches you that you are not alone with those feelings. People have felt those things that you are feeling since the beginning of recorded time. So on that note, time, I know I'm running out of time. I know you want to listen to all these wonderful readers and poets out here. So thank you ever so much once more, and enjoy the rest of the event. Thank you.
Let's give another round of applause for JJ, who's wonderful. Our next speaker is our very own Dr. Crocker. His poetry has been widely published in a variety of journals and anthologies. In 2009, the Texas Review Press published a collection, The Last Resort. His latest volumes of poems, published by the Members Press of Western New Mexico University, was The Algorithm of I. Let's give a round of applause for Dr. Crocker.
Thanks, Maddie, and thanks for moving me here, since unfortunately I have a meeting to go to. And JJ, I hate to follow JJ because he's always so profound and brings such a love for language to us, as all of you do here. So Heather, thanks for organizing this. This is very important, I think, to not only to us, but to humanity. So I will read a couple of poems. I have some new ones in Valley Voices. This one is from some time in Florida, and I noticed there in the town I lived was emphasized order and manicured lawns and streets, and it didn't exactly fit with my chaotic life, but I lived there anyway. But it got me to thinking about, humans impose order. We impose structure. We impose plans, but nature really moves toward entropy, which is chaos. And so this poem sort of works within that, within those two sides. It's called yard art. I live in a town beside a beach that sells itself as paradise, and all the yards along my street repeat themselves like numbered prints. Once I pushed with labored will a helix-bladed beast through summer anarchy of Jimson weed and clover my father called a yard. In truth, a tended field defined by a fence. Step by step, I learned the earth's disdain for artificial order. Milkweed and crabgrass, dandelion and thistle will break the yoke of any border. Now, I pay weekly for cosmetic art to mow, blow, and go, as they say. It's a way to keep the neighbors pleased. After all, we are a well-kept street. Our rising values a realtor's closing dream. Symmetry is not a crime, though paved streets are lines of forced rhyme. But lately my sleep is fraught with tiger dreams. The yard ignites with exploding seeds. Subterranean grubs move dirt around the roots of weeds. Gutter worms crawl down and comb the grass. Violet vines mix in tangled lust. Mullet leap through the moon as it crosses the canal. Conch shells call us to the beach. Wind whips salt spray across our naked skin as we dance unrestrained. Like snakes, our feet know the sand. Our bodies lie down and exchange shapes to heal. The waves chant us to dawn. The sun absolves our sins. In the morning, I get the local paper and wave at the neighbor jogging by. I note new weeds between the bricks and the grass unsheathing a fresher green. My dreams lie with roots, yet freed, left untamed, what dominion would they bring? Every yard would succor every seed. Soon the landscape would come unframed. The driveway would be lost, and next, the street. And I'll end with this one. We all now probably are addicted to our digital lives. I know my daughter is never free from the phone, and we've become pretty much an appendage to our phones, rather than the other way around, I think. So this kind of takes a little fun look at addiction. I call it in this poem, Getting Clean. Today, again, I quit the news and checked myself into the daily steps of my own shoes. The first mile I walked, I tried to forget how complicit I am in a world of fools and to wean myself off the vain happy debt of shooting up on the internet, plus being strung out on Facebook booze. I will get naked in summer's sauna to sweat through this toxic trash and landfill spam. How sweet will be the switching over to mainline nature's heroine of who I am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Crocker. I feel inspired to write, so that's always a great feeling. I am introducing the introducer. So Dr. Oob, who is our Dean of College of Arts and Sciences, and a big supporter of the creative writing contest we have in the Humanities Department. She is here to present the winners who will each read a piece of the winning work. So please give her a round of applause.
So I'm just going to do a little promo here. I know one is coming later on in the program, but all of these contest winners will be published in this year's edition of The Maverick, which is the student undergraduate publication of Members Press. So we are going to start with, we have 4 awards. We're going to start with poetry because it's Poetry Month. So our first prize winner in poetry this year was Ariel Certosima, who is going to, in recognition of her poem, Year of the Dragon. So Ariel, come on up. And you can take this one.
Thank you, I'm honored. Fire, creator of dragons, feed me. Fears, desires. Pines, curling and clawing like lobsters in a boiling pot. The roar. Primal, elegant, element. Journey through darkness, gathering limbs of juniper, instinct initiated. Embers embracing amber golden hope, always living, always dying, just like me. Pulsing and sparkling, just like me. The dragon rears its gorgeous head, just in time for a new year.
So I don't know if you saw this, but Ariel had a piece of paper upon which her poem is written. Like written, not typed, written. Like that is how easy it is to write poetry, which I do not do very well. So thank you, Ariel. Our second prize winner is Natalie Drissel in recognition of her poem, My Unearthly Adolescence. And you can take this one when you're done.
Thank you so much, everyone. My unearthly adolescence. In the folds of the fabric of reality, I carved my initials with pieces of shattered starlight. The forms of existence hold traces of my teenage graphite. In my desperation, I strove to drink the creamy light of the galaxy, but I was too afraid of its endless milky waves. As growth pains agonized my body, I cried out in sonic waves, waves that sounded off in distant solar systems 10,000 years away. And I learned the hard way that what you shove down the gaping twilight jaws of a black hole is gone for good.
Okay, another tidbit. Natalie was reading from her phone, right? So all of you can write poetry right now because you all have your phone with you. All right, so we are moving on to prose. And our first prize is awarded to Anais Orantes Middleton in recognition of her story, What Doesn't Kill You.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And I just kind of wanted to take a little bit of time to give you the premise of what my story is about. What doesn't kill you will probably kill you closely resembles my own personal struggle with obsessive compulsive disorder before knowing what it was and just thinking it was general anxiety. So Laura is essentially myself trying to navigate whatever she's going through before knowing what it actually is. So thank you to the judges and for you all for listening to my story today. Foundation, concealer, blush, bronzer, powder, mascara, lashes, lipstick, followed by a bun and a white button-up shirt, paired with knee-length pencil skirt and black non-slip Mary Janes. Since it was getting cold, soon she would be able to change her skirt for pants. Her work outfit was nothing short of business casual, yet she was only a server at one of the nicest establishments in the city, yes, but a server nonetheless. Sometimes she wished she didn't have to do the full face of makeup to serve. But then only would the high-rolling customers complain, and she would be fired for not meeting the dress code. Or at least, that's what she told herself. The clock struck 8:10 a.m. Charlie was fed, and the next thought spiral invoking thing that Laura had to do was drive to work, which was 10 minutes away. The walk to the car was the worst part of it all. Entering the stairwell to the parking garage of her apartment, Laura felt the rush of the unwanted enter her stream of thought. What if I hit someone? The thought bombarded through the barricades surrounding her mind as she pictured the dozen bikers and joggers that might adorn the sidewalks for their morning movement. Nah, not right now. The floor slowly shook under Laura as she tried to keep walking, but the ugly thought had stopped her right in her tracks again. When she pulled out of the parking garage, she just knew something was off. Laura tried to brake when exiting the apartment gates, but the brakes failed her, and she accelerated straight into the busy traffic. Honking and hollering came to the windows, telling her to slow the hell down, but she couldn't slow the hell down because the fucking brakes weren't working. The worst was coming. She knew it. Everything was moving in slow motion, but she knew the car was going miles and miles and miles over the speed limit. The bark was coming near when she lost control of the wheel completely. Thud after thud after thud after thud. The car wouldn't stop. Thud after thud after thud after thud. The car wouldn't stop. Thud, 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 thud. Why won't it stop? Ma'am? Ma'am? Laura looked up to realize that she was still standing in the stairwell. Her palms were sweaty, and she had that nauseous feeling in her stomach she knew all too well. She must have been breathing pretty heavily, too, because the stranger suddenly asked, "Are you okay?" Laura was too embarrassed to say much, but she gave him a weak nod and replied, "Just some anxiety, thanks." The stranger nodded and gave her a soft smile. "It'll get better." He walked away without leaving any room for Laura to feel uncomfortable, his soft brown locks bouncing above his ears as he trailed. Laura looked down at her watch to see how long she had been out of it. 8:25 a.m. Fuck. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, Anais. Anais will be back later in the program. She is the editor of The Maverick, and we'll talk to you a little bit about that. So Anais does just about everything, and beautifully. So our second prize winner in prose is not here today, but we're still going to honor Katie Ortiz Ipino in recognition of her story, A Lifetime of Change. So round of applause for her. So this creative writing contest, I think, was resurrected about 10 years ago, and it gets better every single year. Like these are undergraduate students who are writing this beautiful work and can share it with you very professionally in what's kind of a scary situation. So another round of applause to our winners, and congratulations on their upcoming publication in The Maverick. Thank you.
Okay. To continue with our students, I teach English 99, which is the rhetoric and composition workshop class. And every spring they do a special project for poetry, whether they knew they were signing up for it or not in composition. And every fall they do work for Band Book Week. So I'm going to have them actually introduce themselves, like one after the other. But they basically wrote 2 poems. They're going to read their original work from prompts, and they also found a poem that they liked here in the stacks in the library, and they're going to share some of that work and why they liked it, what stood out to them. And so we have our first poet is going to be on the video. She was not able to make it today, so we'll start with Jaden, and she will be leading to our next one, and they all have an order that they're in. But please give them an extra hand of applause, because once again, they're composition students, not knowing that they were going to be writing poetry, but it all helps out with analysis, and so they will see the effects of that too. So please give them a round of applause, and we're going to start with Jaden.
Hi, my name's Jaden Hood, and I'm going to be reading 3 poems. The first poem is called Summertime. A warm sunny day, where my sandals covered in the sand, with my hair blowing wild in the wind, licking my watermelon popsicle, feeling my skin tanned to bronze as I swept from the warm sunny day, wearing my striped bikini with my triangle tan lines, laying on my yellow beach towel, breathing the fresh beach air, enjoying the amazing summer days. The next poem is called My View. The view from my dorm window, the mountains covered in snow, watching the kids slide down them as the sun bounces off the peaks, the mountains covered in snow, the snow melting down as the sun bounces off the peaks, with a hint of cold in the air, the snow melting down, sun being covered by the clouds, with a hint of cold in the air. As you begin to see the green grass beam, sun being covered by the clouds, watching the kids slide down them, as you begin to see the green grass beam, the view from my dorm room. Next, I'm going to read this poem that I like from Shakespeare. When I consider everything that grows, holds in perfection but a little moment, that this huge stage presents not but shows, whether the stars in secret influence comment, when I perceive that men as planets increase, cheered and checkered by the same sky, vaunt in your youthful sap at height decree, and wear their brave state out of memory, then of the inconsistent stay, sets you most rich in youth before my sight, where wasteful time with decay to change your day of youth to salute night, and all in war with time for love of you. As he takes from you, I am great that you knew. This poem, what it means to me is, like, it's basically saying, like, that we take time for granted and we don't, like, appreciate the little moments in life, and we just need to take more time and just, like, enjoy life more. Next is Saxton.
My name is Saxon Galinsky. I wrote 2 poems, and then I have a poem from A.R. Ammons. I'll start with a poem from A.R. Ammons. It's called Everything. You came one day, and as usual in such matters, significance filled everything. Your eyes, the things you knew, the way you turned, leaned, stood, or sat, this way or that. When you left, the area around here rose, a tilted tide, and everything that offers desolation drained away. And then When Elders by me. It's really hard to live living it upside down, when you know what you see isn't really there. Distortion, when allowed to fester, creates unease and agitation. It is then when you must remember to remember. And then my last poem is called Sun. It's warm outside. This means it's sandals weather, time to catch wild critters, eat popsicles, tan, and inevitably sweat a lot. And the next person is Denisha.
I have to start off by saying I'm extremely nervous because giving life to that sometimes helps with that. Sorry. My poem's also named Sun. Warm is the mark left by the mother's sandal as she told me to calm down. I was too wild. My father kept silent, staying in the corner, later bringing popsicles to my room, one for us both. Tan, not burnt, my cheeks were still red from the sun's relentless rays. Sweat rolled off of my face mixed with tears. I will never return home again. Sorry, I get really nervous. Why am I in Silver City? Because you wanted to travel. I wanted to travel with you. Because breathing in the mountain air and talking with you, with the trees, makes me feel better. Because I assumed my friends and family would be better listeners than the trees. Because now, where and with who do I return to? I no longer travel with you. And then this poem is by Barbara O'Mary. Jay, don't you understand? There are two women in me. One is used to sacrifice, to giving, to surrender, to making up and reaching, and touching and making things okay. The other is a bitch. She is newer and unsure. She makes demands she wants to be given to. She wants you to reach out once. She wants. Both of these women love you. I have not yet given up on love of men. It is not that he is special. I am familiar with the arguments. I have no counter arguments. Only the way we touch each other, only the way we look, only the way we give each other strength to fight the enemy. He also robs me. He rips me off almost every day. I know that. The impossibility of individual solutions. Shulamith Firestone speaks of I am struggling with this dilemma. And to me, this poem is kind of like the obligation she feels to her partner and the fear of change she has to end her relationship. The next person is Autumn. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Autumn Ward. I made a poem about my children. I love them very much. I'm gonna start with the title. It's called Innocence. I see it in your eyes, the love I have for you. I will keep you safe to start a life and learn to grow. The love I have for you, one day you will be gone, to start a life and learn to grow. The innocence I see, one day you will be gone, the day you were born, the innocence I see. A warm bundle that I hold, the day you were born, I will keep you safe, a warm bundle that I hold. I see it in your eyes. I wrote another poem. It was about my grandma. She ended up passing away right before I ended up coming here to go to school. I told her over and over again that all I wanted to do was go to college. And so whenever she passed away, she made that happen for me. And so I'm very grateful. And this poem is called Her Essence. Her essence, the woman was wise. She had silver hair that once was fire red. Speak the truth, but only of the good in others. Where I am, you have a home. She had silver hair that once was fire red. Hello, darling. Where I am, you have a home. I hear the wind through the phone. Are you outside? Hello, darling. The roses are growing. I hear the wind through the phone. Are you outside? How are you doing? The roses are growing. Speak the truth, but only of the good in others. How are you doing? The woman was wise. I found a poem from John Greenleaf Whittier. It was a night whenever I was very tired and I didn't want to get up and make dinner. And so you know, after I read this poem, it made me get up and make dinner and do my homework. And so here it is. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh. When care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is strange with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns, and many a failure comes about when he might have won had he stuck it out. Don't give up through the pace seems slow, you may succeed with another blow. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt, and you never can tell just how close you are. It may be near when it seems so far. So stick to the fight when your hardest hit. It's when things seem worse that you must not quit. For all the sad words of tongue or pen, the saddest are these, it might have been. Thank you. And next is Janessa.
Okay. Sorry if I keep sniffling. Think I'm catching a cold. I'm gonna start with a book that I liked. A poem that I liked. It's called Elizabeth's Lyrics. Love cannot live. My eyes be raised, my heart's desires. I'll look delays that love requires. Love cannot live where hope decays. Love cannot give that time delays. Love cannot live where favors die. Hope cannot give that hap denies. Okay. My next poem is called Golden Slumbers. Golden slumbers kiss your eyes. While you catch me looking at you, you seem to be surprised. You always wondered why I admire you. You always looked amazing since the day I met you. And then my next poem is called Sunrise Glows. The beautiful sunrise glow that mountains give always brighten my mornings, but I wish the sunrise glow never disappeared into a nighttime glow with stars. Always brighten my mornings, everyone wants to start their day on a good track. Into a nighttime glows with stars is where everyone wants to relax in their beds. Everyone wants to start their day on a good track, so they can always thank the beautiful glow is where everyone wants to relax in their beds and cherish how they spent their day, but also know a new day will come. So they can always thank the beautiful glow, but I wish the sunrise glow never disappeared, and cherish how they spent their day, but also know a new day will come. The beautiful sunrise glow that mountains give. And next is Tyrese.
My first poem is Summer. The warm weather feels nice. My sandals leaving imprints on the sand. I was wild for mango popsicles. It was the perfect time for a tan. Sweat dripping from my face. My next poem is called Price to Pay. But soon the thoughts of growing poor make him his shattered barks insure, dreaming of storms that never came, though calm seas stretch from shore to shore. His heart still anchors fear once more. He counts his coin with a worried gaze, his gaze concealing the terror. The next poem that I chose was by Christopher Smart, Reason and Imagination. Amidst the ample field of things, the doubtful muse suspends her wings, while thoughts, imagination's host, keep hovering over reason's post, maintained, O truth, upon thy base, whose voice and whose angelic face are what the prudent love and hear, and by no other star they steer. Next is Tegan.
Hello, everybody. My name's Tegan Uller. I'd like to start off with my first poem. I called it The Thread of Failures and Successes. Then a string of successes or failures follows, each one different, yet the same at heart. We rise and fall, but still we move on, chasing dreams that sometimes fall apart. But in the stumbles we find our way, and in the winds we learn to stay, success and failures woven in the fray. For my second poem, I titled it Why I Live in Silver City. Because I'm the first in my family to go, to chase something new, to learn and grow. Because the mountains are a symbol of change, a place to start fresh, to rearrange. Because I carry my family's dream with me, and Silver City is where I'll find what's meant to be. Because I'm building a future step by step, and this journey is mine to take, no regret. And then the poem I found in this book is called The Friendly City by John Ashbery. Unless you put it away, you can never play with it again. The marimba, you know what that means. Our city bemoans us, or does it only seem to? Showers that come in shifts, light poles guarded in air, the dry cackle of trees in the botanical gardens. Was it for the suburban marketplace you wrote and are still writing in that wire-bound notebook? Things like, man cannot stand what he has become, but he loves to lap up his own vomit. In that case, the city will probably stay around for most of the day. It likes your sleeping sound, not the bad silence of the others, who are even now clogging its approaches, giving the place a bad name. Oh, if it was a name he wanted, why didn't somebody say something? We could have found him one so easily, like Elector of Brandenburg, and the city could have seen its reflection, finally a useful place upended. And then next up is Ashton.
Hi, my name is Ashton Van Arnhem, and I wrote 2 poems. My first poem is called Autumn Love. Love, my love, it is high time to travel. Summer's coming to an end, the bears are going under the gravel. The trees need to mend, winter is starting to unravel. Love, my love, it is high time to travel. My second poem is called Lady of the Mountain. Looking outside the window, the mountains glowed. Every sunrise, every sunset, Lady of the Mountain looks down on the town, praying one day she'll be admired. Every sunrise, every sunset, mountains used as a backdrop, praying one day she'll be admired, like the precious metals taken from her. Mountains used as a backdrop, rain falling in the valley, like the precious metals taken from her, waiting for the right moment. Rain falling in the valley, Lady of the Mountain looks down on the town, waiting for the right moment. Looking outside the window, the mountains glowed. Thank you. My third poem is called The Heated Minute by Louis McNeice. The heated minutes climb the anxious hill, the till fills up with cash, the tiny hammers chime, the bells of good and ill, and the world piles with ash, from fingers killing time. If you were only here among these rocks, it should not feel the dole, the taunt and ticking fear that hides in the clocks and creeps inside the skull. If you were here, my dear. To me, this poem just means they're missing someone. They wish they could be with them. Thank you.
So some of these poems were freshly written at the beginning of this week. So they did a good time revising it and perfecting it. And it is very hard to perform something especially extremely new. So please give them another round of applause. So it is my pleasure to introduce the next person, and I have a little bit of information about Dr. Robinson-Guerra. First, I do want to say that I want to give a big shout out to Dr. Neves as well, because Dr. Neves is the one who brought Dr. Robinson-Guerra to this event when he was being interviewed for the position. So he saw the event and wanted to be part of it and has been part of it steadily and even more so this year. And also Dr. Neves is our good contact with Aldo, and we'll have some Aldo students read at the very end. So thank you so much too. And then for Dr. Robinson-Guerra, he is the Associate Professor of Bilingual Education and Spanish at the College of Education at Western New Mexico University. He's a specialist in Central American literature and contemporary Latin American culture. His expertise is evident in the articles he's written, all constructed on similar themes: identity, race, and gender, in short stories from 12th century writers in Guatemala, El Salvador, and Panama. He does a lot here, and he also has some students here who will be presenting too, and he'll be presenting those students. So please give Dr. Robinson-Guerra a round of applause.
Federico Garcia Lorca is always an elegiac poet, no matter what he is writing about. He looks beyond the here and now, and he sees what is present as a symbol of what is absent. No matter where one opens his work, its theme is the impossible, the melancholy conviction that we all have certain undefinable longings that cannot be satisfied by anything around us. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the celebration on poetry here at WNMU. It is an honor to share Federico Garcia Lorca's poem, Sonnet of the Sweet Complaint. It is a 14-line sonnet separated into 4 stanzas by the poet. The first 2 stanzas contain 4 lines and can be called quatrains. The second and third stanzas contain 3 lines each, making them tercets. The students reading these poems are from my Spanish course, Introduction to Culture and Advanced Grammar. They are Eder Marmolejo Garcia, an undergraduate student in the School of Business, Gabriela Quintero Rivas, a medical doctor pursuing a BSN degree, and Miss Elizabeth Michaels, one of our best Spanish students who loves to learn Spanish grammar. Big round of applause, please.
Soneto de la dulce queja. No me dejes perder la maravilla de tus ojos de estatua, ni el acento que de noche me pone en la mejilla, la solitaria rosa de tu aliento.
Never let me lose the marvel of your statue eyes, or the accent that by night the solitary rose of your breath places on my cheek.
Tengo miedo de ser en esta orilla tronco sin ramas, y lo que más siento es no tener la flor, pulpa o arcilla para el gusano de mi sufrimiento.
I'm afraid to be on this shore, a trunk without limbs, and what I most regret is not to have flower, pulp, or clay for the worm of my suffering.
Si tú eres el tesoro oculto mío, si eres mi cruz y mi dolor mojado, si soy el perro de tu señorío.
If you are my hidden treasure, if you are my cross, my wet sorrow, if I am a dog of your dominion.
No me dejes perder lo que he ganado, y decora las ramas de tu río con hojas de mi otoño enajenado.
Never let me lose what I have won, and adorn the waters of your river with leaves of my alienated autumn.
Thank you.
Great job. Let's give them another round of applause. Our next two speakers are Cindy McCain and Cheryl Howard. Cindy McCain has lived in the Members Valley for almost 4 years. Her work has been published in poetry journals and anthologies, as well as a chapbook titled The Dream of Falling. After a career as a forest ecologist in Oregon, she is astonished by the high desert here. Cheryl Howard, PhD, is a poet and visual artist and a member of the Silver City Art Association. She is a retired sociology professor emeritus who studied at UNM and taught at the University of Texas at El Paso for 21 years, teaching in the Sociology, Chicano Studies, and Women's Studies department. She is an avid reader and has been a supporter and fan of the Southwest Word Fiesta since retiring in the Members Valley. Let's give a hand for Cindy and Cheryl.
Hi. I was thinking about why people write poetry, and I just enjoy it. There you have it. I really like it. So I have very short poems by and large, and these are some that I thought I felt like celebrating today. So I'm assuming that some of you are hoping to find the love of your lives, or possibly have already found them or thought they had found them but didn't quite work out. Somebody in one of those categories, I'm thinking. So this one is called Soulmates. There are, 7 billion people in the world these days? If your soulmate, that 1 in a million, locked to your key, perfect fit, hasn't found you yet, do not, sweetheart, do not give up. 7 billion is 7,000 million. Therefore, my sweet, there are not 1, not 2, not 200, but 7,000 of them out there. 7,000 hearts that beat as one. In fact, a dime a dozen, a veritable Valentine's Day massacre. And so, at 6 degrees of separation, you certainly know someone who knows someone who knows, and yet you don't. No one. I know. Well, and maybe that's for the best. But also sometimes you're in a more serious vein. So this one is called The Color of Ice. In the Arctic, in the farthest North Arctic, where latitude and longitude converge, the land is made of water. The rocks and ridges and shadows are water. The world is warming, pushing polar bears off the polar ice into towns and back porches and alleys where too much is soft. Once the bears were the color of earth, then the color of ice, but soon they will be the color of air. And just because you can write a lot of different kinds of poems, this one's called, after one of Jose Olivares' poems, All the Names We Say Because We Don't Say Love. What does it even mean, he asks. The more I say it, the less I know what to say that means. My heart is an open window, and I see you through it. What if I say, my heart is an open door, and you can walk in? What does it even mean? My heart doesn't know words either. Just listen to it. That's what it means. And this one is called Slow Poem. If slow were a song, a sloth would be a melody of old forests where days and nights swing in languid tangos, where summer and winter finish each other's lines like old lovers. If slow were a prayer, a sloth would be a meditation where up and down depend, where movement is the progression of patience. If slow were a dance, a sloth would be where a graceful arm completes its arc and delivers itself to a perfect rest. And I have one more. I'm not going to read the one about old ladies because for once I have an audience which is not primarily composed of people who look just like me. So I'm going to take advantage of it. This one is called Finding What You Are Good At. I wanted a fortune cookie with my talent written out on a narrow strip of paper in red ink, and all I'd have to do is choke down the almond shell to find my purpose. Now, I find what I've spent time doing is pretty much what I've got to offer, and the why is snarled up like a necklace buried deep in a jewelry box. So what I'm good at: dancing. I make a good granola. I'm a demon in a seminar, darning socks, listening, finding something to like in most of us. Well, those are fine, don't you think? What I'm good at?
Good afternoon. I did make some copies, but I think I only made enough for one for each row. So I don't know, Cindy, if you would maybe pass them out. They're back there on the floor. I'm going to start with a poem called When Words Fail. You can read a poem, but can you smell it? Are the words corduroy or silk? Do they sound like Mozart or Rachmaninoff? Are they green or gray? Can you eat them? The poem wants you to know, but it is constrained by words that are slippery, change their shapes and meanings by what's around them, and the reader is around them, and they are both conflicted, choosing the meaning, one word over another and back again, never certain which, if either, is the right one. So let me just tell you what I can. It is a gray day and the poet is on a sandy beach that smells like the ocean. Bolero is in the background. Mozart and Rachmaninoff were red herrings. The poet is wearing flannel and eating tacos. Many things remain unknown, among them what country, what season, what weather, what gender, what ethnicity. Is there a dog chasing terns? Are there dolphins? The next one is about clouds. So poems can come from anywhere. This one's called In August, I Fell in Love. In August, I fell in love with clouds, their defiance of gravity, shape-shifting prowess, faces of ancestors, animals, how they mass and move with the wind, with magic. Mobiles, alebrijes in the sky, I fell for the colors of clouds. In the early morning, pale pinks, bright yellows. At sunset, scarlet and purple and apricot, or the opposite. When clouds are swollen, are ready to deliver a sound and lightning show. A deep fake, no moisture, whip into symphonies that end in crashing cymbals, or in earnest, inches of rain on the dry desert, while arroyos run wild and muddy in August. Clouds write their own haiku, each hour anew, draw maps of new countries and ignore old boundaries, roll in waves across mountain shorelines. I love them white and fluffy, with underbellies of tarnished silver, in bold streaks across the sky, clouds that contrails suddenly burst from, and clouds in asemic squiggles or smoke signals that could be messages waiting to be understood. This is why I fell in love with clouds, the same way I've always fallen in love. This last one is a poem about my mother-in-law who passed. It could be about your grandma or your great-grandma. It's called Piñón. Short, round, smiling. She sits quietly or stands at the stove, chops chiles and onions, stirs the salsa in silent communion, while her children, who call her Piñón, speak over each other, loud on the edge of argument. TV blasts, music comes from somewhere. Grandchildren run in and out of the house. Eldest daughter sets plates. Eldest son puts silverware. And suddenly, everyone comes to the long table and holds hands, while Piñón says the prayer. She was adored by the 6 children she never wanted, but loved anyway, and their children and spouses. There was a holiness about her, a silent and patient knowing. Now that she's gone, no one knows what to do on holidays.
Thank y'all so much. That was so beautiful. Up next is our very own Heather Frankland. Heather holds an MFA and an MPH from New Mexico State University. She was a Peace Corps and Peace Corps response volunteer in Peru and Panama. In 2022, she was one of 12 poets selected to attend Marge Piercy's intensive poetry workshop. Her poetry chapbook, Midwest Musings, was published in 2023 by Finishing Line Press. She serves as the current Poet Laureate of Silver City and Grant County, and she teaches English composition here at WNMU. Let's give it up for Professor Heather Frankland.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, so I have been a little under the weather. I'm feeling better. Antibiotics do work. So I want to give a big shout out to Maddie for taking on the bulk of the MC duty. I was afraid I was going to lose my voice, and Tuesday I was losing my voice. I think I'm okay now. I've got tea there. I've got a cough drop. I think I'll be good to go. But thank you so much, Maddie. I also want to give a big thank you to Miller Library. We do this annually, and this is such a joy to work on with them. We organize this together, we collaborate, and a big shout out to the students who didn't know they were going to present, and the students who knew they were going to present as well. So thank you all. This is a part of the Poetry Long Weekend, which is a weekend of events that we've gathered together for National Poetry Month as part of Southwest Word Fiesta and my duties as the Poet Laureate. So there are some flyers behind you, and I'm going to put some over here. There are 4 activities. We are number 1. Later on this month, we have Michelle Otero, and I know Cheryl's been working on this a lot, who's coming to Bayard Public Library to do a workshop as well and a reading. These are all free events, so free to come, free to be inspired, and I think a couple of them have food, so if that helps you get there, that'll work too. So I'm going to just put these on this table right beside me. So in a sense, it is odd for me to be reading my own work here. I usually am not that person in front, so it's a different hat. But this is my hat as the Poet Laureate. So the first poem I'm going to read 3 poems, 1 long one, 2 smaller ones. And the first poem I'm going to read is from my book, Midwest Musings. And I just want to show this lovely cover art because my friend Tina Bratter did this. This is a friend of mine I met in college my freshman year. So you never know who you're going to meet and how long you're going to collaborate. So this poem here is about kind of Midwest meets Southwest, we'll say. It's the last poem of the book. And this was during 2022 when we had that really bad fire, and not just a little one which we need, but a pretty bad one. So it was in my head when I was writing this piece originally. And it's called Even the Air Feels Green. And I'm just going to take a really quick drink of tea just to prepare. Okay. Even the air feels green. Even the air feels green, the trees with leaves like letters home. Don't you see it anymore, the green? There are lilacs in his yard, carrot greens, bunches of herbs that are bunches, not the few strands I call a small bunch in the Southwest. I remember one day I planted parsley, and in that one day after planting, I said goodbye to parsley. In the Midwest, the Southwest seems like a fairy tale, a place of big landscapes. Some mornings I tell my Midwestern friends and family, I smell campfire. Some mornings I can see pyres of smoke burning our Gila forest. Some mornings when the window is left open, I swear I left the oven on. I look, check, make sure that nothing is burning. But of course it's burning. It's all burning outside. We're ants under this huge glass. Here I have this meager excuse of a garden, this well-earned excuse of a garden, the trial and error, the volume planting, and the amazing discovery that every single snapdragon planted survived. The wishing that every single snapdragon planted didn't survive, so that I'd have a place to put the tomatoes, to give them the space to pretend that they can become like their Midwestern cousins, endless. Don't you see the green anymore? I tell him, while looking up at the Midwestern trees, tall and abundant, the lilac bush scarcely tended or watered, the milkweed, the grass without goat heads. I could walk barefoot on this grass. I could feel the dirt between my toes, and it would be cool. But I no longer saw the green when I grew up here either. I didn't notice it beyond the springtime when the winter makes us sick of monochrome. I didn't notice how soft the grass was or how plentiful the garden or how the soil actually looked like black gold rather than being purchased from a company called Black and Gold. I didn't notice the tiny buttercups by the woods or the bees so full of clover that they seemed to nap on yards, only startling when children came by or dogs or lawnmowers. No, I didn't notice. I forgot to notice. And it makes me wonder, what am I forgetting now in the Southwestern land of big landscapes and this large state of diverse places? Am I forgetting you, the desert willow, or you, the alligator juniper that makes me sneeze. When I look out and see charred remains, is there anything that I'll remember? Anything that I can put back together, or at least remember enough to mourn its sudden loss? Thank you. Cool, thank you. The other two poems are from a project called Blood Mangoes. As Maddie said, I was in the Peace Corps 3 times, repeat offender. So I was in the Peace Corps in Peru for about 2.5 years. I lived in the desert, which is not something you think of in Peru. I lived in a small community where I had running water once or twice a week. We would gather it in like barrels that you use for gasoline. If I didn't put bleach in there, I got black larvae in my water, so very different lifestyle. No electricity. And then I lived in Lima for one time, and I lived in Panama. So this book is pretty motivated by the time in Peru and about being between cultures. I lived off the Pan American Highway, which is a very busy highway. And at that time, there was really no speed limit that was enforced. And then there were tons of different things that happened on that highway, both between drunken bicyclists and drivers and such. And so the first poem is one that is a new poem. It's called By the Highway, Part 3. The semis become full moons. Cheshire grin dangerous, teeth sharp, lips thin, a hiss of wind, too close to echo, too far to thunder. My language, which language? My tongue, which one? Something broken by the light of those semi-moons. Alice asked the Cheshire cat, which way do I go? He answered, if you don't know your direction, any direction will do. If you aren't careful, you will be flat as a pancake, splat. You will be directionless. You will be in all directions, generously sharing pieces of yourself. By the headlights, Alice searches for the pieces of her teacup, those tea leaves that should tell her which way to go. She comes up short. She always comes up short. She doesn't know if she was meant to ever wake up. My story didn't end there by the highway and the highway. My story didn't end there, bicycle bent beyond use, glasses flung, head cracked, unconscious in the highway. My story didn't end there, but like Alice, I fell for a long time, body twisting, language shaken, Mad Hatters suddenly making sense, rabbits with watches almost broken, all this talk of possibilities. It could have ended, but thankfully it didn't. Like Alice, I came back whole, home, disoriented. Did that just happen? What do I do next? How had I escaped that petty queen? If only it were but a dream. But after all these years, that hungry highway, I can still feel its teeth. Well, thank you. And the last poem I'm going to read is fitting because I'm teaching a workshop on persona poems on Saturday. So come and write your persona poems. This is a persona poem. This is an exaggeration of things that I was told. And just a couple really quick things. One is in Peru, they called me Flor and Florcita. I was not called Heather very often. So it was actually interesting coming back to my own name after 2.5 years of being called Flor. And then chicha, there's different types of chicha, but this is corn liquor. So this is the type of chicha I'm talking about. And it is called, the title seems like the most of an exaggeration, but it's really not because they drank a lot of sugar in their tea. So it's like you could stand up a spoon in the sugar, it was that much. But it's called over 1 cup of tea, 4 tablespoons of sugar. The man in the moon is San Jose riding on his burro, claro que sí. And the clips you insist we watch with you will bring sickness, claro que sí. And we must plant San Pedro cacti to protect us from that woman's curses, claro que sí. If you aren't careful, that loca will fly the walls and make you loca too. Glad to see. For someone so smart, you are incredibly innocent, gringa. Don't worry, we will watch over you. You have a lot to learn, claro que sí, and we have a lot to teach, claro que sí. For now, sit outside underneath the eucalyptus tree. We will watch the sunset and tease Rosita, who at 17 has been single for way too long. What about you, Florcita? Necesitas un varón, you need a man. Don't you want a souvenir to take home? A little hijito to carry in your pouch? It would be a good exchange. Then you'd always come back and visit us. Then you'd always be a part of this land. Vamos a buscar uno para ti. We're gonna look for one for you. He will be just right. Espera. Drink some more chicha. It sharpens the vision and clears the heart. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. It is my honor to introduce Anais again. So she's going to come up. She's familiar with up here. She is our editor-in-chief of the Maverick, and as well as a wonderful writer. And she's going to encourage you, students, to submit, which is a great thing to be published. It's something that you carry on beyond Western. So please give Anais a round of applause.
Thank you so much, Professor. Hello, everyone. This is more my element. I'm not as nervous standing up here now. The Maverick is my jam. I'm the editor-in-chief, and I would like to invite all of our undergraduate students who read your wonderful poetry to please, 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 please submit. Being able to be published in college for free is honestly unheard of. And having this wonderful opportunity for your words, for your voices, for your stories to be out there, it's a one-of-a-kind, one-in-a-million opportunity. And honestly, we're in a time right now where we're actively fighting against censorship, where things are trying to be hidden from us, and we should not be quiet. So please, my poets, submit. Autumn, I want to say Denise. Denisha, your work was beautiful. Please submit. Autumn, please submit. Everyone, please, please, please submit and let yourselves be heard. So thank you so much for coming to this event today, and thank you for listening to me twice in a day. Have a great one.
Hey, and we have a couple students from Aldo who are going to be reading, and the teacher, Julia Stevenson, was going to present them. Is Julia here? Oh, thank you. We've been just corresponding on email, so it's nice to meet you in person, Julia. So if you want to come on down to the podium, and we have time. So I think we had told the students 5 minutes together, but if they went a little bit over, that's not a big deal. So please, thank you so much. Let's give her and the students a round of applause, too.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stevenson. I'm a 7th grade teacher at Aldo Leopold. I'm currently teaching a small poetry elective, and Dow Daly is one of my students, and she will be presenting some of her original work now. Please give her a round of applause.
How can one go numb? I don't want to feel. He crushed me so bad. I don't see this appeal. He pisses me off when I want to feel calm, but his painful reminder still sits in my palm. A stupid, smug grin and big brown eyes, the mole on that face that covers up lies, the guitar in those arms that looks like a baby, the yeses drowned out in choked up maybes.
Next up, we have Judith Smith. They are a senior in Ray Kressler's class, excuse me. Please welcome Judith to the stage.
Hi, this is some of my original work. I wrote it last summer, briefly after finishing watching Twin Peaks, 'cause it's about that, so I feel like I need to specify that. And I wanted to say, like, doing it in memoriam of David Lynch. And the poem is called Laura Palmer Summer. Laura Palmer has been on my mind like a saint of lost summer. The water clings to her bright blonde hair, muddying it, the dirt reflecting her insides, just like me. Hazy orange and brown afternoons, rosy sunsets mixed with the ash and smoke from a forest fire 4 states off. Bottle blonde, dirty blonde, skin soaked to the bone. Down another bottle, another bump of coke. Sex, drugs, anything to make you feel alive, like your heart is still beating in your chest. Red eyes and red eyes, anything to keep you awake, to keep you away. They say home's the first place you learn to run from. Broken father, broken heart. Your black slip dress sticks to your skin. Never getting out, never getting away. Dead at 17, life's just begun. Headstone reads, loving daughter and nothing more. There's no getting out, you always knew. Dead as soon as the story began. One ending, one begetting. Dead end youth with your head in the gutter and your heart at the bottom of the bottle or bottom of the bag. 100 lovers could never save you. Nothing ever could. All stories must come to an end, and yours was over from the very beginning, wrapped in plastic, wrapped in cellophane, your perfect magazine girl coated in gloss finish and lipstick stains. The clock's ticking on the end of your life. You better run on home before the future catches up with you. Of course, no one could save you. Nothing ever could. That's it.
Let's give all of our speakers another big round of applause. So we have come to the end of our event. Thank you everyone for coming today. I would like to thank Southwest Word Fiesta, our Silver City and Grant Poet Laureate Heather Frankland, Dr. Gregory Robinson-Guerra, our WNMU Media Services, the Humanities Department, Dr. Oob, and Dr. Crocker. I would also like to very quickly again mention our Poetry Long Weekend that Heather is working with. We have flyers in the back on our bookshelves back there, so if you're interested, grab a flyer, or I'm sure Heather is more than happy to talk to you about it. Our student speakers, hang back a little bit. We have books to give y'all for participating in this event. And then very quickly as a closing, I'm sure you guys have noticed our community poem. So for about the past week and a half, we have had students, community members, put words and phrases on our community poem, and we have created one using the suggestions from our board. So I'm going to read that to you, and I'm sure if you listen, you can hear the suggestions that were given. So, sparkle in the hush of dawn, a butterfly drifts where dreams are drawn. Be a beacon, brave and bright, guiding hearts through fading night. All it took was a sudden gleam of possibility, like waking from a dream, to disrupt the natural inertia of my soul, to make the fractured spirit whole. Ruby pauses in the doorway to smell the breeze where secrets hide. A cat curls soft by the windowsill, surrendered to the moment still. Moist earth cradles roots below. Resilient life begins to grow. Joy hums, sweet in every leaf, whispers love beyond belief. Smile like the sun through branches bare, sacrifice woven in golden glare. Raven watches from above, reminding us to give to love. Mexican gray wolves call through trees, wild and fierce, yet born to please. A birdie sings in fractured tune, Skippity laughs beneath the moon. Though chaos may seem to derange, without a doubt change is change. It is inevitable, ever rife, a part of growth, a pulse of life. From personal paths to vast advances, society twirls in constant dances, and still we adapt, we learn, we see the organized beauty of simply being free. So again, let's give it up to all of our participants today. Thank you for participating. Thank you for helping with our community poem. Have a great day. Thank you all.